Hi, I'm Amy Romeo of Amy Romeo Crafts, and I recently designed this really cute faux leather coin wallet or little card pouch with Kam Snaps, and it's really cute. It folds over. This is a no-sew, no-glue little pouch, but I did need to know how to use these Kam Snaps, and I have to admit I was really intimidated when I bought them, and I wasn't quite sure how to work these. So if you have recently bought an SVG file that uses these snaps and you're not quite sure how to use them, if you're a little nervous like I was, I'm making this video for you. So I'll be walking you through how to use these, what you need, and what the key is to getting these snaps to work successfully on a project here like this one that has 3 layers of faux leather. So let's first go over the materials that we'll be using. The SVG file that I'm using, I'll link to it for you. I have 2 different versions. This one has a little rounded front and this one has a scalloped front, but they'll both be made the exact same way. And then I'll show you in Design Space how to upload the file, and we'll cut out the faux leather. I've also designed a little liner layer on the inside that you can cut from heat transfer vinyl just to add a little pop to this project. So then after I cut out all of my layers, I'll show you how to put this project together and how to assemble those Kam Snaps. First, let's just talk a little bit about the Kam Snaps and the other materials that we'll be using. So I'm using the Cricut Maker today to cut my faux leather, but you can use any of the current Cricut machines or really any machine that you have that cuts faux leather. The faux leather that I'm using is a print. It comes in a sheet, but you can also use faux leather in rolls. And then my heat transfer vinyl, I'm using a Caesar glitter heat transfer vinyl for the inside, but you could use regular heat transfer vinyl or something like foil iron-on. And then we'll be pressing the heat transfer vinyl inside the faux leather pouch. I'll use my Easy Press Mini, but you could definitely use a larger Easy Press as well that you can just set down since this is a larger project. I'll use a heat pressing pad and also a Teflon cover sheet to protect my surface when I'm pressing. Then once we've pressed our heat transfer vinyl into our cutout faux leather shape, then we need to apply these snaps. So snaps, they're called Kam Snaps, and they come in different sizes, and the size that we want is size 20, and it's important that we get size 20 extra long. And extra long means that the little post that sticks up in these is deeper, and it's going to accommodate those multiple layers of faux leather, and we're able to put the snap on. So the size 20 extra long, they're available on Amazon in white and black. And if you want colors, I'll leave a link to these for you. You can buy them directly from the manufacturer in lots of different colors. So on Amazon, you can buy the special pliers that you need, the Kam pliers. You can buy just the pliers themselves, or you can buy the pliers that come with some snaps. So these are all size 20s, but they are not extra long. So if you're shopping on Amazon, if you want to play around with these, you can get just the pliers, or you can get both of these, but know that these snaps are not going to work with this thickness of faux leather. I'll link also to the white and the black on Amazon so you can play around with them. So of these little Kam Snaps, there's 3 components. Let me show you on this little graphic that comes with this box. So there's 3 components. There's a cap, which you'll use twice, so 1 and 2. And then there's a piece called a stud, and it has little raised bumps on it. It's hard to see. And then there's a piece called a socket, and this one is also hard to see, but it kind of has an indentation in the middle. So each of these little sides on the front here, there's a cap, and then there's a stud, and then on the bottom, there's a cap on the inside. There's a cap, and then there's a socket. So the stud sticks out and it goes into the socket. I hope that makes sense. So just 4 pieces, and we're going to use these pliers to squeeze together and to attach these little Kam Snaps. Okay, so let's hop into Design Space. I'll show you quickly how this file works. This Kam Snap tutorial will work whether you're using my SVG or any of the other SVGs for these little coin wallets that are out there. And I hope this will be helpful for you. So starting with a blank canvas in Cricut Design Space, you'll click on Upload and then Upload Image, and you'll browse to where the unzipped SVG file is for this project. Click on it to select it and then click Open. And you'll see a preview here of the wallet that will cut from faux leather, and then this shape will cut from heat transfer vinyl. Click upload, and it will appear here in your recent uploads row, and then click add to canvas. So this is the rounded design. The scallop design will cut exactly the same way, or if you're using a coin wallet SVG from another designer, this process will work the same way. So the first thing I want to do is ungroup both of these shapes. And this shape down here that will cut from heat transfer vinyl, that's that sort of liner that will go inside the wallet. That's totally optional. If you don't want to cut that, you don't have to. I think it does give a more finished look on the inside of the wallet, but I will go ahead and click that little eye. If I don't want to cut that, then that's how you can hide that to keep it from cutting. So these two shapes are pretty straightforward. This one's going to cut from the faux leather. That's the heat transfer vinyl, and we have our little holes here for assembly that are made for the cam snaps. So we'll click make it. We're cutting our materials on a mat, and we're going to mirror both of these mats because faux leather and heat transfer vinyl cut in reverse. I always like to cut the faux leather mat first, so I'll click continue. And for the faux leather, I like to use the faux leather paper thin setting with more pressure, and then I just use the regular fine point blade that comes with all of the current Cricut machines. Then when I want to cut my heat transfer vinyl mat, I will use the setting that corresponds to the material that I'm using. So I'll use the glitter vinyl setting with default pressure, and if I'm using the thick Caesar glitter heat transfer vinyl, then I'm going to repeat my cut one time. But let's click back on the faux leather mat, get that faux leather paper thin setting with more pressure ready to go. And now we'll go ahead and cut out the faux leather and the heat transfer vinyl mat, and then I'll show you how to use those cam snaps. So I'm using my Cricut Strong Grip purple sticky mat, and I've already trimmed my faux leather down to a smaller size. I'm just going to place this pretty side down on my purple mat, press it down well with my fingers, and then I'm going to use some blue painter's tape to tape it down on all sides. We already have the faux leather paper thin setting with more pressure ready to go. Our fine point blade is loaded, so we'll go ahead and load the mat and begin the cut. Whenever I cut faux leather, I like to use a sharp weeding tool and just double check that the cut went all the way through before I unload my mat, because I can always rerun the cut just by pressing the cut button again as long as I haven't unloaded the mat. But this looks pretty good, so I'll go ahead and remove the mat. We'll remove our faux leather shape. There we go. And then we can see on this side the little small holes that the Cricut cut for those cam snaps. If your holes didn't cut all the way through, don't worry about it because you will be pressing the snap and that will make the hole larger. Or you could use your sharp weeding tool to sort of punch that hole through more. Also, the cam snap kit comes with a sharp tool that you can use to punch, or you can even use a 1/16 inch hole punch and that'll make the perfect size hole as well. So I'll set this aside, and now I'm going to cut my heat transfer vinyl mat. Okay, so I've got my faux leather piece, my heat transfer vinyl piece. Again, this is optional, you don't need to use it, but let me show you how to put that on quickly. I have my little Cricut heat pressing pad. I have my Easy Press Mini set to the low setting. If you're using a large heat press, I would set it to about 265 degrees. I also have a Teflon cover sheet. You can use a Teflon sheet or butcher paper or parchment paper. I'm just going to put this down on my mat, and now I'm going to line up my heat transfer vinyl piece. You want to make sure you line it up at the top shape here, and also you want to line up these corners down here at the bottom. Now the reason that this heat transfer vinyl layer does not extend out to the sides is because we need to get all three of these layers inside that cam snap, and we don't want to add any additional thickness. This is really the only part that you see anyway. You see a little bit of the inside of the pouch and you see the flap. Okay, so I'm going to cover this with my Teflon sheet, and I'm going to press all over, aiming for about 10 seconds of coverage on all areas. So I've pressed all over. I'm going to move aside my cover sheet. Keep in mind this will be warm. Then you want to just start in one corner and gently peel away that clear cover sheet. If your vinyl lifts up as you're peeling, just place that cover sheet right back down and press for a few more seconds, but that looks pretty good. I'm going to just put my cover sheet over one more time, press all over, and that looks pretty good. I'll just use my sharp weeding tool just again to poke through that little hole so I don't lose it. This is quite warm, so I'm going to place this underneath my heat pressing pad to let it cool nice and flat while I get ready with my Kam Snaps. So just to remind you, the Kam Snaps that we're using are size 20 extra long, and there's 4 parts. 2 of them are caps, they're identical. One is a stud, it has little bumps on it, and one is a socket. These 2 will go on the top flap of our coin pouch, and these 2 will go on the bottom, putting those 3 layers of faux leather together. That's why these need to be extra long. So I've gone ahead and located within my little bag of the extra long snaps, I've located all 4 of those pieces. So I have my 2 caps, I have my stud with the little tiny bumps, and I have my socket. So you'll see inside the pliers here, there's a black piece, and these pieces can be removed, and there's other sizes in this little package here, along with a screwdriver to unscrew this black piece, but this one is the correct size for the size 20 Kam Snaps, so I don't need to change that there. And then this white part is going to be the part that squeezes and sort of connects the 2 snaps together. So I'm just using the black part and the little white part here, but know that you have other sizes here, and you also have that pointy tool if you need it. All we're going to do is place the cap in the hole facing out of our little pouch, right? This is the flap that goes down, so you want that in the front. And then we're going to take the little stud piece with the bumps are going to go down. So when the bumps go down, then you have this little tiny piece that sticks up, and that's going to press into this opening on the other side. So on this side, you can sort of press it down with your fingers, but it's not going to stay until we squeeze it. But that's what it should look like. So I'm going to try and hold this firmly with my fingers, and then what I want to do is get the cap right there on the black part, and then get the other part lined up on the white part. It's a little hard to see, but the cap is inside the black housing here, and this piece is completely underneath this white part here, and all I have to do is squeeze. And that's it. See, we've got our little part here, very secure, and there's our little snap in the front. Isn't that cute? Okay, so we've done that part. This part is a little bit trickier, but now that you've seen this part done and you see the 2 pieces go together, this part is pretty easy as well. So again, we want to take the cap, which has that extra long point, and we want to start on one of the sides. It doesn't matter which one, but we're going to go here from this side going out, because these flaps are going to fold in like this. So here's my point. So I'm going to fold one side in, doesn't matter which one, fold the other side over it, just like that. And now we're going to fold this flap up. And it was a good idea to poke through on those holes so they're very easy to see. So when you're folding up this project, it's very easy to do. So now they're all folded together. And what I like to do is sort of move these into position. Sometimes you can get them a little bit cockeyed like that. And once you press this down, it's going to stay like that. So what you want to do is make sure that all your folds are neat. And then a little trick I like to do is use a little bit of blue painter's tape just to sort of hold that in position. Just like that, and that's going to help keep the nice shape when we press. So again, we're going to put the second half of our snap on. This is called the socket. This is a little harder to do because we're going through those 3 layers of faux leather, but we're going to repeat the same process. We're going to put the black part so it's covering the cap, and we're going to slide this so that the white part is over the socket. Here we go. That looks pretty good. I know it's hard to see. and I'm just going to squeeze. And that's that. Let's see if you can see the inside. So there's our cap. Here's our socket. We'll remove our tape. And here's what it looks like opening and closing it. A little snap. And then it just opens up. Isn't that cute? I hope you like this project and you're going to try using some Kam Snaps. Now that I know how to use them, there are a lot more faux leather crafts I'd like to create for you that use them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.